Chair, you have a live mic.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Commissioner meeting. And I just want to remind everyone that to please turn your cell phones off. Is FX here? Please turn your cell phones off. No. We, as public speakers, we want to remind you that you got 3 minutes. At the 2.5-minute mark, that little yellow light will blink, and that means bring it to a close when the red light comes on. And we would appreciate that. So with that, let's get the Lord involved in this meeting.
Commissioners, we have our invocation by Pastor Chris Voorhees, Covenant Church of Naples, and our pledge will be led by Brian Boyd, Army veteran, 1968 to 2006, Green Beret, Airborne Division Director of Intelligence, Analyst, JSOC, officers with DEA, Strategic Intel at ATF.
My title was definitely not as long as that one, so yeah. Well, let's pray. Father, we come before you now with grateful hearts, grateful for your steadfast love for your people, grateful for your goodness to your people, grateful for the ways that you guide and that you are sovereign over all of our activities, God. Thank you that you love your people. And Lord, I pray particularly for Collier County today. I pray for these commissioners. I pray for the residents, Lord. I pray that we would continue to seek you in what we do, Lord. God, I pray that you would give us a spirit of love for you and a love for one another, a spirit of joy even in the midst of the hard conversations, Lord. I pray for patience when we disagree with one another. God, I pray for self-control. I pray that the temptations that would come, Lord, would not overwhelm, but we would look to you, Lord. God, I thank you for all the ways that you are ordaining things that are happening. And we particularly are grateful, God, that Florida did not pass Amendment 4, God. I know that's something that I care deeply about, and I know you do as well. And so we're so grateful for that. Would you help these commissioners, particularly help us to flourish, Lord, in ways that honor you? And so we set apart this time for your purposes. Do with it what you want. We love you. Thank you that you first loved us, Lord. And finally, God, I thank you for our veterans, Lord. I think of just yesterday as we celebrated them and as honored them in church on Sunday. God, they have done so much. And I particularly pray for those that are feeling like they're not seen and not heard, that they have to go into places that are depressing, Lord. I pray that you would lift up your face upon them and that they would feel your pleasure even now, God. Thank you for their service. And I pray all this in your son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Pledge allegiance, ladies and gentlemen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess we should welcome Commissioner McDaniel now that we've prayed.
Yes, sir. If we could get a motion to allow Commissioner McDaniel to participate by phone.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
Good
Move
morning,
second.
everybody, and thank you very much for the motion and allowing me to attend remotely.
Well, we haven't voted yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
It's going to take 3. All in favor say aye. Aye. You made it.
Good. I'll be quiet now.
Commissioner, agenda changes for November 12th, 2024. First, we have 3 items pertaining to the Fiddler's Creek Section 29 development area, the rezone comp plan amendment, and DRI. That's items 9A, 9B, and 9C are all being continued to the December 10th, 2024 BCC meeting at the applicant's request. I'm going to give you a break by not reading all of those titles into the record. Next up, we have continue item 17G to the December 10th, 2024 BCC meeting. This is a recommendation to approve an amendment to ordinance 2023-71 to remove roadways that are no longer unpaved, add unpaved private roadways, and establish an opt-out provision. This is being moved at staff's request. Move item 16E2 to item 11D. This is a recommendation to accept the highest bid of $1,310,000 cash with no contingencies from Up and Smoke LLC pursuant to section 125-.35 Florida statutes for property owned by the county located at 16140 and 16144 Performance Way, and authorize the county manager or designee to negotiate a contract for presentation to the board at a future meeting. This item is being moved at Commissioner Hall's request, and we will be taking this item early in the agenda, so we have folks here that are here to speak on this. A couple of agenda notes. We have item 16F8 should be corrected to read as follows. It's a recommendation to approve and authorize the chairman to execute the Collier County Tourist Development Council Category A grant agreement for beach park facilities for the city of Marco Island for fiscal year 2024 through 2025 in the total amount of $147,500 within TDC Beach Park Facilities Fund to authorize necessary budget amendments and to make the finding that the expenditure promotes tourism. Item 16B8 is a recommendation to approve Second Amendment to the Ground Lease Agreement for Communications Tower and Memorandum of Second Amendment to Ground Lease Agreement for Communications Tower with CCATT LLC, a subsidiary of Crown Castle USA at Max A. Hass Jr. Community Park. A memorandum of lease reference in the executive summary for the item was inadvertently omitted from the agenda package. The actual lease was included in the agenda package. The memorandum was sent as a one-way communication to the board on Friday and is now available on the online public portal. Finally, item 17A is a recommendation to adopt an ordinance amending the future land use of the growth management plan to add the Tollgate housing parcel to Activity Center Number 9 to allow construction of 110 multi-family rental units with affordable housing on 5 acres of land. The subject property is located on the east side of Collier Boulevard, north of Beck Boulevard at 3880 Tollgate Boulevard in Section 35, Township 49 South, Range 26 East, Collier County, Florida. The corrections are, I'll read them in. Number 1, 33 units collectively referred to as set-aside units shall be restricted as follows. A, 12 units shall be rented to households whose incomes are up to and including 80% of the area median income for Collier County and the corresponding rent limits. B, 21 units shall be rented to households whose incomes are up to and including 100% of the AMI, which is the area median income, for Collier County and the corresponding rent limits. We do have one time certain item, that is item 11A, to be heard at 10 a.m., which is related to the TDC, the request by the Tourist Development Council to enhance 2025 marketing funds. With that, County Attorney.
No changes, thank you.
Commissioners, any changes and any ex parte for the consent and summary agendas?
Commissioner McDaniel, do you have any changes in ex parte?
I do not, and I have no changes.
Commissioner LoCastro.
I just have one slight correction on 9A, B, and C. I mean, this for the county manager. It was really me that changed it to the 12th, and then I assume the applicant agreed. But
Yes,
just
sir.
for the clarification.
Absolutely.
And then on consent agenda on 16A7, I had. I'm sorry. I thought I had a check mark there saying meetings. On summary, 17B, I had meetings, and 17C, I had meetings.
Commissioner Cowell.
No changes to the agenda. I have nothing on the consent agenda, but on the summary agenda, 17B, I have meetings, and 17C, I have meetings.
Commissioner Saunders.
Mr. Chairman, I have no changes to the agenda, and I did have phone conversations concerning item 17B and 17C on the consent agenda.
Great, thanks. I as well have no changes, no disclosure on the consent, but 17B and C, I do have both meetings. So with that, can we get a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Very good. That brings us to item 2 agenda and minutes, item 2A, and if you'd like to take them together, 2B are the minutes of the September 24th, 2024 BCC minutes and October 7th, 2024 emergency BCC meeting minutes.
Get a motion to approve both of them?
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor say aye. Aye. It passed.
Very good. That brings us to item 3, awards and recognitions. We have a number of awards and recognitions on this agenda. We're going to start with item 3A1. These are our 20-year attendees. First, we have Tricia Aldridge from University Extension Services, 20 years. Congratulations.
What do you do with all those? Thank you.
Next, we have Joseph McGee, Road, Bridge, and Stormwater Maintenance, 20 years. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Danielle Sanchez, Strategic Initiatives, 20 years. Congratulations.
Congratulations. 20 years of doing the thinking.
Item 3A2, our 25-year attendees. Consuela Thomas, Operations and Regulatory Management, 25 years. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Mary Toro, Transportation Management Services, 25 years. Congratulations.
The live action.
Item 3A3, our 30-year attendees. We have one, Osman Condi, Parks and Recreation. Congratulations.
Simon didn't say.
Simon didn't say.
All right, Commissioners, that brings us to proclamations. Item 4A is a proclamation designating December 2024 as a VFW Auxiliary Post 7721 month in Collier County, to be accepted by Betty A. Bailey, President of VFW Auxiliary Post 7721. Congratulations.
could levitate them up.
Great.
Commissioners, I'm honored to receive this award on behalf of our VFW auxiliary located here at Post 7721 in Naples. I'd like to thank all of you, and especially Bert Saunders and Bill McDaniels for initiating the long-term care facility, which is going to be happening here in Naples. Our auxiliary and our post is looking forward to supporting in any way possible to make and recognize our veterans. One of the things that our auxiliary has done this week is we have over 730 veterans that are in nursing homes and facilities. Our goal this week was to visit at least half of those and make their day and recognize them. So thank you again for this proclamation.
Before you leave,
Yes, sir.
a couple of comments. I've had the pleasure of working with you and the VFW for the last couple of years, and it's been a high honor for me to do that. This commission, as you know, is committed to making Collier County the most veteran-friendly county
Yes.
in the state. And Governor DeSantis has made the commitment of making Florida the most veteran-friendly state in the country. And so on behalf of the entire commission, I want to thank you for all that you do. But there are a couple things I want to point out. One of the reasons why this VFW is so well attended and so important. The one paragraph in the proclamation, whereas auxiliary has been the recipient of 11 Department of Florida awards, including Best Patriotism through Literacy, Auxiliary Outreach, Most Volunteer Hours, and Buddy Poppy 100th Anniversary. And the reason I mention that is I've talked to Ms. Bailey about the awards, and I think you received 11 out of about 12 or 15 from the entire state, competition with every VFW in the state.
Wow.
And so we do have the best VFW in Florida, and that's because of the efforts of folks like Betty Bailey and all of the folks at the VFW that work so hard to provide services to the veterans, those folks that really need the companionship that you find at the VFW. So I just wanted to publicly thank you for all that you do on behalf of the veterans.
Thank you. And just to add to that, the auxiliary comprised of members who, their family members have served our country and they join to honor them. Or we also have members that perhaps served in the military, but not during wartime, that can join under their family members. So we appreciate that comment, Commissioner Sanders. Thank you so much.
Item 4B is a proclamation recognizing November as Veterans Appreciation Month to be accepted by members of the United States Armed Forces, past and present. Congratulations.
Who's receiving this?
I'll just say a word or
Go
so.
ahead.
Yeah, but I wanted to get everybody to get a photo.
But anybody that served, please come forward. When
Served in the
yep.
military, please come forward.
That's a good hat.
Hand it to one of the guys.
Here you go. Wayne, put that up there for the photo.
Stole my thunder, Wayne. I was going to tell him. But I'd just like to say a few words. We, you know, commissioners up here and how strong, myself as a veteran and Commissioner LeCastro is a veteran, and, you know, how, you know, this county and how we recognize these veterans and how much we support them, you know, and I felt it was important too. And like Commissioner Saunders mentioned about this, the governor having a section 683.1475, the official designation of the month of November, recognizing our veterans through the state of Florida. But I wanted to also make Collier County the most veteran-friendly county here in the state of Florida. So that's why I brought this proclamation forward, and it's to just let all our citizens know that, you know, this is the time that we treat these people. We should all year long treat our veterans in a certain way, but just so we bring some attention to it in the month of November, that we, you know, one day is not enough, you know. So I just wanted to bring attention to it, and that's pretty much why the proclamation, and we all agreed to, well, we will agree to it here in a second when we vote on them. But I don't see any nays, I don't believe, but I thought it was important to bring it forth. So, all right. Next proclamation, I guess. Unless Rick wants to say anything, I think it's appropriate.
Well, you know, I think whether we served in uniform or not, I'm just so proud to serve with these 5 commissioners here. You know, they're all hugely supportive of veterans. You know, we're all working really hard on the nursing home that Commissioner Saunders and Commissioner McDaniel, you know, started, and we're all trying to finish it as a team. So, you know, I still at times sort of feel like I'm in the military working for the county, because a lot of the same threads that you find in the military of camaraderie, teamwork, friendship, taking care of each other. You know, sometimes maybe the news media doesn't always cover it that way, and they think we're all at odds and we all wake up every morning figuring out how we can do stupid things, but it's really not the case. And, you know, I really, especially now with elections being over and whatnot, you know, you have the 5 of us up here, and to Commissioner Colwell bring this forward, and, you know, us having, you know, served in the military, it really means a lot. I hope the county embraces this and continues to do things. I know it was a really busy day yesterday with a lot of ceremonies in town, a lot of really great things. Wayne had a special ceremony on his own street in the city of Naples. But, you know, this I wrote on my social media page, this isn't just ceremonial. You know, these proclamations, you know, they make statements. They you know, it's the county, it's the 5 commissioners here as well as the county staff putting, you know, words behind something that we feel has meaning. And so it shouldn't just be a photo op, take the framed piece of paper and leave. We're sending a statement to the county and to the citizens, and I believe they support it as well. So hopefully there'll be, you know, more events throughout this month of November. We still have plenty of time, and to all the veterans out there, I was, you know, proud to be a fellow veteran, and thank you for your service.
Commissioners, that brings us to item 4C. This is a proclamation designating November 17th through 23rd, 2024 as International Fraud Awareness Week in Collier County, to be accepted by Crystal Kinzel, Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller, and other distinguished guests. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
This could get a month. This could be a month, right? Yeah, it could be a month. Yeah.
Just this one week, no fraud.
Now Maria's going to move you around over the next 5
yes, she
minutes.
is.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I got Maria's
You have to do the
and
dance.
this will come
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
How you doing? Thank you.
Can it go sideways, or what would you want? We good? Make us look good, Maria. If I could take just 1 minute, Commissioners. These are members of your Inspector General staff, and I just want to thank the commissioners, the county staff, the county manager for working so closely with us to keep Collier County fraud resistant. You can never say you can prevent it forever, but we certainly work very, very hard to protect our citizens and the taxpayers' dollars here in Collier County. So thank you for the recognition to the team.
You're welcome, Crystal.
Commissioners, if we could get a motion to accept the proclamation. The proclamations.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded for approval. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Very good. If I can turn your attention to the back of the room, we have our November Artist of the Month. America's Military and First Responders Museum is our November Artist of the Month. Founded in 2006 by a group of veterans, it initially operated as a mobile display museum. Initially built for pilot training during World War II, the Naples Airport Authority provided space for the museum in 2011, and it began to grow. More than 12,000 historical artifacts dating from the Revolutionary War forward, such as weapons, uniforms, medals, ribbons, handwritten letters, and posters, have been generously donated to the museum. Soon, with the potential for a new, larger space in the Golden Gate City area, the museum will better honor our brave first responders who often start their careers in the military and then pursue a subsequent career serving our local community. The commitment to expand the vision is reflected in our new name, America's Military and First Responders Museum. As we have celebrated Veterans Day and are proclaiming November as Veterans Appreciation Month, the museum appreciates the public's dedicated support to honor those who have fought for and maintained our freedoms. With that, we have tax collector Mr. Rob Stoneburner here for a quick presentation.
Everybody hold on to your money.
Can you make this thing work?
Yeah. There we go.
Good morning, commissioners, esteemed commissioners, and Commissioner McDaniel, wherever you are. I am here, as you can see. Last year, I brought a check to you all for unused revenue in the amount of $13.3 million, and lo and behold, we found out the bank wouldn't cash it because they didn't think it was real or something. So we had to do a wire. So this year, and I'm too cheap to buy one of those really big checks, you know what I mean? As you can see, I spared no expense on this presentation. But we're going to talk about unused revenue coming back to the Board of Collier County Commissioners. I wanted to play a little game here, kind of like Price is Right. I'm not saying Price is Right because that would be a copyright infringement. So first person I want to, Mr. Commissioner McDaniel, are you there?
I don't think he can
I
see it.
am.
Good. I want you to,
Rob.
as you can see
I
these.
can see it.
Okay, these numbers right here. What number goes right there?
I'm going to put a 9 in there, sir.
Dang. Yeah, very good. I'm impressed.
No more questions.
Okay. Well, you've been elected the Grand Poobah of the Loyal Order of Water Buffalo because you answered that one right. Okay, second one on the list. Commissioner Locastro, how about this number right here?
Are we playing Plinko after this?
Yeah, maybe.
Because I like Plinko. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll say a 4.
Are you serious? All right.
We have
Ms.
access
Johnson,
to your Rob. We have access to your emails and your calendar. If you didn't know, so yeah, we control everything.
Commissioner Locastro, your prize is you replace the Grand Poobah and you become the exalted Grand Poobah of the Loyal Order of Water Buffalo. So how about we go to Chairman Hall? Chairman Hall, what number goes right here?
Let's go for a 1.
You are incorrect.
Good. I
It's
didn't
a
want to be
9.
Grand Poobah.
Well, you've been sentenced to receive a sledgehammer and crush concrete at the corner of Santa Barbara and Davis Boulevard.
Oh, that hurt. Oh, Rob, that hurt. That hurt. I felt that from here.
Okay.
It's only an hour's worth.
All right.
It's all gone.
Commissioner Kowal,
Yes, sir.
what number goes right here?
Well, we haven't used the 1 yet, so let's go for a 1.
Can't believe you guys are good. This good, but your prize is you earned a 4% discount on your property taxes as long as you pay it in November.
I'll take
I'm going to go. So, the last one to go here is Commissioner Saunders. What number goes right here?
All right. Well, let me think about this for a minute.
Trying to make it easy on you.
Let's see. You
Just had a birthday, and it was a pretty high number.
let's go with the 4.
Good job. Well, Commissioner Saunders, you have been elected chairman of the board. Pay your colleagues $50 apiece. That's a monopoly part right there. So, I'm joking around here. $14,479,000 plus $1,000. We're proud to send back to the Board of County Commissioners on unspent revenue, which is higher than $13.3 million last year. I'm proud to say that I'm here to represent the men and women of the tax collector's office. And, you know, our number one goal is to return as much money back to the taxpayer as we possibly can. Our number two goal is service is our only product. We don't build anything. All we do is serve. And with that said, I want to just mention that in the 4 years, including this year, back to the county commission, $41.8 million. So we're very proud of that. And just so you know, it's tax season. Property taxes are due and payable. 4% discounts right now. Since the beginning of the month, we've collected $275 million, and which is only about 17% of the total tax roll. We will collect 75% in this month. So it's a pretty busy month in November. We look forward to sending back as much as we can possibly next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Rob, you can be champion for the day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Good
I
job.
appreciate it.
You know, Rob, one thing I will say is thank you for being so responsive on email. I got, you know, as you and I have traded some notes, I had a few constituents over the last week that had questions about their taxes and, you know you're the expert. So, you know, I CC'd you on some and said, hey, we need to get the actual answer. And I mean, you know,
Actually, I'm
your
not the
sense of urgency was really appreciated.
I'm not appreciate that. I'm not the expert. I just represent the experts. So with that, thank you guys.
Thank you, sir.
County Manager.
Commissioners, that brings us to item 6A. So if it pleases the board, we'll do the public petition, and then we will take the item that was pulled, that was 16E2, before we go to our 10 o'clock time certain. Timing-wise, that should work out well. All right. Item 6A is a public petition by Mitch Hutchcraft seeking board support to create the Corkscrew Grove Stewardship District. Mr. Hutchcraft.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Mitch Hutchcraft. I'm here today on behalf of Alico Incorporated and our CEO, John Kiernan. Also here with me today is Rich Jovanovich. Alico's been in business for over 125 years, and we have a long legacy in Southwest Florida, including ranching, citrus, and land management. We have petitioned the board today to consider our request to establish the Corkscrew Grove Stewardship District. As you know, a stewardship district is a tool that helps the landowners finance infrastructure, help restore natural areas, and to manage master plan communities and the land within those boundaries. The subject of the property that we're talking about today is in the northwest corner of Collier County, bounded on the north by Hendry County and on the west by Lee County. We are in the very early phases of planning and stakeholder outreach, but we've been thinking about the long-term administration of a future project. We've concluded that a stewardship district will be the most effective and transparent way to fund and manage a project like ours. It'll also help us efficiently coordinate with the county and other entities like Immokalee Water Sewer District, Collier County School District, Immokalee Fire and EMS. Ultimately, a stewardship district requires the Florida legislature to approve a special act to create the district, but it is necessary and appropriate for the host county to provide a motion that they do not object to the legislature's establishment of a district. This is a process that's been done before by other districts here in Collier County, including Ave Maria and the Big Cypress. Therefore, Alico respectfully requests that you direct staff to prepare this issue for discussion on your December 10th agenda, when we will ask you to provide a finding of no objection. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them. Thank you very much.
Any questions? We need a motion approved?
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make the motion to direct staff to come back on December 10th with the proposed stewardship district in terms of the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Good. Motion made and seconded for staff to come back. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No one. Great, thank you.
Very good, thank you. That brings us now to our item 16E2, now item 11D. This is a recommendation to accept the highest bid of $1,310,000 cash with no contingencies from Up and Smoke LLC pursuant to Section 125.35 Florida statutes for property owned by the county located at 16140 and 16144 Performance Way, and authorize the county manager or designee to negotiate a contract for presentation to the board at a future meeting. This item is brought to the regular agenda by Commissioner Hall, and Ms. Trinity Scott is here to present and or answer questions.
Before you go, Trinity, let me just tell you why I brought this forward, because we have the property up there. The county's had the property up there for years on Performance Way, and we decided to sell it, so we put it out for bid, and it's being used right now for an education center for the children. And the highest bid came back almost twice the amount of what was proposed. And when that happened, you think it's all about the money, but it's not all about the money. And we have great public benefit going out there with the Gargiulo Education Center. And so you can think, well, it's all about amazing public benefit, but it's not just about public benefit. So I brought this forward so we could discuss it. And, a deal is when both sides walk away happy. And I wanted to, after Trinity presents, I'll make a few comments about what my thoughts are. And I've had just a brief conversation with Mary and Elo this morning. So, Trinity, go ahead.
Thank you. Trinity Scott, Transportation Management Services Department Head. I know you're looking at me like, why are you up here talking about a real property item? We have welcomed real property into the Transportation Management Services fold, and today I'm joined with Jennifer Belpedio, our real property manager. As Commissioner Hall and Ms. Patterson discussed, we are talking about 16140 and 16144 Performance Way. It is just under an acre of property for the two parcels combined. The county purchased these two parcels back in September of 2007. It was intended for an EMS facility. The purchase price of the property was just about $675,000. However, the county secured a loan for $875,000 to cover the associated fees and additional engineering costs. The county has paid interest on that debt since the acquisition, and the outstanding loan is $340,000. EMS now plans to operate from a nearby fire station, so the property is no longer necessary for an EMS use. In February of this year, Gargiulo Education Center, a nonprofit, expressed interest in buying the property to build a center for at-risk children and families in North Naples. And in May of 2024, we also received an offer from Up and Smoke, a private foundation, to develop a storage facility on the site. In July, the board directed the county manager to begin a competitive process for bidding to allow all interested parties a chance to bid on the property. We advertised those bids, they were posted online, and they were opened on September 9th. We received two bids. One bid from Up and Smoke for $1,310,000 cash with no contingencies, and the proposed use is for the development of a storage facility. We also received a second bid from Gargiulo Education Center for $674,900 with a $10,000 deposit, and their proposed use is for developing a new facility to house an after-school program and community center to service at-risk latchkey and migrant students and poverty-level families in North Naples at no cost to the families. A partnership with North Collier Fire District for the use of the building is also mentioned in the letter. Staff's recommendation is to sell the property to Up and Smoke for $1.3 million, which is in excess of the amount of money that we have encumbered in the property currently. However, should the board decide not to move forward with staff's recommendation, they could accept the Gargiulo Education Center offer, or the board could also reject both bids and allow the property to remain in the county's surplus holdings.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thanks. So, and my thoughts about this thing, I would like to continue with the Gargiulo Education Center in that piece of property. And I would like to see if we could structure it in some kind of a way instead of, there's a balance here in the difference of the bids. We have $875,000, the county's exposure in a loan, that we've got it down to 300 and something thousand. So I would propose selling the property for $1 million to them with the $700,000 of cash down and taking payments on the remaining balance until they get it paid off. And I've asked them if they've had the cash flow to do that and if it would be comfortable. And I think that the county would come out, and I think that the education center would come out, and the kids would come out. And so I just wanted to open that up for discussion.
Did they agree to that, or you're just
We can.
proposing?
They're here to talk, and I would like to hear your thoughts on that, Mary, if you would step up, please.
First off, thank you so much for allowing me to speak today and pulling this very important item. So $1 million is out of our budget. However, we will make it work. Our board president is here. I'm putting it on her. So yes, we do have the money to begin the process.
I'm not stuck on $1 million. I just kind of threw that out there.
Okay, good.
But I didn't know what the figures were until Trinity just told us about our loan. The terms, we can work on the terms to make it comfortable. So it's not just about the money, but I really would like to pursue the public benefit of the education center.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about the benefits and the investments that we've made in our children. One of our graduates, which we helped get, he was with us since kindergarten, and we helped him get scholarship because he wanted to be a music teacher, and he is a music teacher, and he was up for a nomination for a Golden Apple Award. That's the products, the kids that we're putting out. I have another student that's here right now, a former student, who leads our director of entrepreneur apprenticeship program while she's going full-time to school. She has given, this itself, being here is an incredible experience and education, and this is the type of education that we provide our children and expect them to become successful professionals and adults.
We are all lit up, so Commissioner Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A question for Mr. Klatskow. I just want to make sure, however we proceed on this, that we're not doing something that would be in violation of Florida statutes. We have a requirement to do a competitive selection when we have property that is surplus. Once we get bids, are we required under that statute or any statutes to accept the highest bidder?
You are not required, no.
So we are totally free to negotiate a lower price.
This is a qualified nonprofit corporation, is my understanding, so if that's true, there's no issue.
Okay.
I would ask it to be brought back, however, rather than just doing it from
Right,
here.
you'd have to check into that, make sure that we're not doing something that would be illegal in terms of this issue. And then the second question that I would ask is, how do we ensure that this remains as a not-for-profit into the long-term future? And I'm not sure how we do that. I'm sure there's a way that the county attorney can come up with something. But for example, if there was a decision by the not-for-profit to ultimately sell the property for $1.3 million or whatever it would be worth at that time, that would be a bit of an embarrassment. So I know that's not anybody's intent. There are some folks that would do that. And I'm not saying you guys would at all. I just want to make sure we're not doing anything that is putting the county at risk or is improper under Florida law.
We've done similar provisions in the past,
So
reserving the right to take the property back if they change the use. We've done that in the past. Since there's money involved here, there'd have to be some sort of proration, but we've done that before.
okay, as long as we can protect the county's interest in the long-term future with this property, because it is a substantially discounted sales price, and I just want to make sure we're, 5 years from now, we don't read the newspaper that it was sold for $2 million.
One of the things that made me comfortable is they've been doing this for 23 years, so that's, it's not like we started a year and a half ago and we may not work.
And if I could just make a clarification, because one thing I did not include in my presentation was our in-house appraisal is approximately $991,000, give or take some change. We paid $675,000, give or take, for the property. Our commercial note was $875,000, and that includes engineering fees and environmental assessments that were done at the time.
Commissioner LaCastro.
Thank you, Chairman. The numbers as they are on the screen right now, I wasn't comfortable with, because one of the things you have to remember is the county actually doesn't own this piece of property. Taxpayers do. So if we sold it to you for $674,000, we're basically giving up the difference with the other bid and subsidizing, your organization. Nobody here questions the value of your organization, so it's not about that. And also, it's not just, it's easy to say, well, then it's all about the money. Well, when taxpayers beat us up for their taxes going up 1 cent or going down 2 cents, it does matter. And so we're here to protect the taxpayer interests. So to have my strong support, which you do have, it has to be close to something that Commissioner Hall just suggested. So if you all need to go back and make sure that, 1 million-ish and any of the other small pieces or whatnot, because then what it does do is it allows us to recoup the taxpayer money for what we've invested in the property. Selling it to you for $674 doesn't do that. And so it has to be somewhere in the middle. And it sounds like the proposal that he's made takes all my concerns away because of the value of what this land provides the community and what you all do. So if you can come to some sort of, agreement that's very close to what he proposed, it has my full support. But I want to just go on record and say, a lot of times when people say, oh, the county owns this and the county owns that, the county doesn't own anything. The taxpayers own this piece of land. And if we sold it at a significant discount, well below what we would get to even recoup our investment, that's not something that I could support. But it sounds like we have something that's fair and it's equitable and makes the most sense. So if you can come to some sort of agreement, or if you already have, then this would have my full support.
Commissioner McDaniel.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank you for bringing this. In my notes, I had a question mark on this transaction, and I can't thank you enough for bringing it forward and having this discussion. I completely agree with my colleagues with regard to the securitization. And I hope Terry's writing this down. I agree with the county attorney that we bring this back next month with a review of the finalization of the transaction and work something out that's fair and keep these folks in this facility.
Great. Commissioner Colwell.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I just want to express my feelings also that, we are the safeguard of the public and the public's money, and the people of Collier County own this property. And I'm not in the business of making profit on flipping properties. I mean, that's not what your government's supposed to do. But at the same time, we have to safeguard what we have invested in these properties, because we don't want to short the citizens that own these properties. So yeah, I think what we're talking about up here is kind of out of the boundaries of what we can do today. From what I understand, is one of the decisions we can make, but it would have to come back to us. And if this organization's serious about it, they'd have to come back seriously with what numbers will work for the county, for the citizens of Collier County, to make this work. But if that happens, I'll be in total support of it. So
We have some public comment, but before, I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion that we direct staff to get with the Gargiulo Education Center, work out the terms of the deal to bring it back, something that they can live with, something that we can live with, and it's going to be somewhere close to that 991 figure.
Second. I'm sorry. I didn't mean-
And then we'll deal with that when we have the final terms, something that they're comfortable with and that we can live with. We can take a good look at that. So Commissioner LaCastro has seconded, and before we vote, we'll take the public comment.
Mr. Chair, Mary Asta had registered to speak. Did you have any more to say? Yeah, Eloy Ricardo had registered, and he has 3 additional minutes from Ashley Pimental.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before I begin, first, thank you for bringing this up. North Collier's Fire Rescue's interest is where the Gargiulo Education Center is. They for years have been part of our community, coming to our fire stations. We work on programs with them, and that's how my connection was with them. But before I start, I want to thank the county manager's office, because how this happened was because of our communication and our great relationship working together. There's an EMS station that you're not building anymore. You're no longer needed because you're housed with me in the station that I'm building down the street. That's the savings that the county did just because of us communicating, so we were not building stations 1 mile apart. The property came into surplus, well, the property came available because there was no EMS station, and Mary was looking for property, so I'm the one that told her, hey, go talk to the county because they may not. So blame me for bringing a buyer to the county to be able to see if they could purchase the property to keep that organization in there. My partnership with them will come in after they become the owner. I am committed because we need storage. We gave up storage, everybody industrial area, but we need storage, community rooms. So we're trying to work with them as soon as they become the possible owner, so that will allow to be able. But let's remember that the efficiencies between the county manager's office and the fire district is what led to this property being, there's a station that you're not building because I'm building the station with the North Collier Fire Rescue. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
And that's our only speaker, sir.
All right, so the motion's made to direct staff to come back with
There's a
some.
gentleman in the audience that's,
Is he registered?
I don't know.
Are you registered to speak, sir?
I don't have a slip from him, sir, no.
All right, no worries. We've got a motion made to direct staff to come back with some terms just that they can live with. And second it, the motion was seconded, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right, so move. We'll see you back at maybe the December meeting.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I think we can squeeze in item 10A before we go to our 10 o'clock time certain, if it pleases the chair. This is your item. Okay. 10A is a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners of Collier County, Florida, adopt the proposed resolution expressing the board's strong support for legislation mandating the use of hands-free devices while driving, and urges the Florida State Legislature to pass such legislation to enhance road safety and protect lives. This is brought to the agenda by Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, County Manager. I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to send support from our commission to the state legislature on this particular item. I've been approached by the bicyclist people and by a guy that's lost his child to a distracted driver who is really working hard with the state legislature to get this passed. And we all have experienced distracted drivers looking at their dang phone on the in the intersection. If you ever get honked at, it's because you're on your phone. And it's something that's, it's a problem, and it needs to be directed. And I am for limited government, low regulations. I hate to try to direct people by law, but sometimes things evolve that need consideration. Cell phones driving is one thing. E-bikes is another. I got people going all over the place, but this resolution is well written, it's concise, it's precise, and I just wanted to send a message to the state legislature in agreement with the resolution for them to do the right thing and make some good regulations regarding to keep our streets and highways safer. Commissioner McDaniel.
Yes, this is number 2, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate you bringing this forward. And for the record, I get honked at all the time, but that's just because I drive a pretty truck. It's not because I'm messing with my phone when I'm at a light. So
your mother's listening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm aware. She's over here texting me while this is all going on. I just wanted to share. This is such an important item for our community. I know Commissioner Saunders, I think we had an agenda item on there today to talking about the blue light signalization for notification when a light is actually changing, just to help folks from running red lights because it's prolific throughout our community. The young lady, I cannot remember her last name, Monica.
Ramos.
Ramos, thank you. I had a long conversation with her, and one of the things that she and I actually came to a conclusion is this would be a fine way to begin the process of limiting the distracted driving circumstances within our community. So I really like this, and I'm happy that it's coming forward, and I want to offer my support to do as much as it possibly can to help this go forward.
Great. Commissioner Cowell.
Thank you, Chairman. I agree with you. I'm not one to have big government always in everybody's lives, but at the same time, you got to understand this is more or less a public safety item, not so much overreach. And it's only reinforcing a statute that was written several years back by the legislation that's already in law. It was the texting and driving statute, which was, my own experience in implementing it. It was very poorly written, very poorly interpreted, and very poorly enforced in our judicial system because of the poor writing of it. And I think this particular proclamation and bringing this forth will just strengthen a statute that's already on the books to make it more enforceable to the point where we'll make it safer for our public. So yeah, I'm totally supportive of that, and us taking a stance and saying, hey, we agree with this because we know statistically that texting and manipulating a phone while driving is actually worse than driving while under the influence of a controlled substance or alcohol at that time. It's been proven. It's a proven fact throughout the nation through studies. The only good thing is you can put your phone down. You can't take the alcohol out of your system or the drugs. And if this does that, then I think that'll be a plus for everybody and all their loved ones that have ever had to suffer because of this negligence. So I'm totally supportive of this.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The legislature has been dealing with these issues for many, many years, and it's always puzzled me as to why there's been so much reluctance on the part of the legislature to do what I think is fairly obvious to protect public safety. There are numerous states that have hands-free laws on the books. I would suggest that obviously we're going to pass this suggestion, but I would suggest that we ask our lobbyists to put this on their list of priorities for us, because this is one of the biggest public safety things we can do in terms of traffic. So.
Good idea. Mr. Mullins, you got that? Thank you. All right. So I'll make the motion to approve the resolution to send it to the state legislature with the addition of getting the lobbyists involved.
Second.
Motion and second made. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Very good, Commissioners. That brings us to, I think we can start our 10 o'clock time certain, 2 minutes early. Item 11A is a recommendation to approve an enhanced FY 2025 marketing funding request totaling an amount not to exceed $5,457,500 that utilizes both disaster reserve funds up to $390,000 from TDC Disaster Recovery Fund 1106 for emergency hurricane recovery, marketing, and operating reserve funds up to $5,067,500 from TDC Promotion Fund 1101 for enhanced tourism marketing efforts to remain competitive, authorize any necessary budget amendments, and make a finding that this action promotes tourism. Mr. Jay Tusa, your Tourism Division Director, is here to present.
Thank you, Ms. Patterson. Commissioners, Chairman Hall, good morning. So I'm going to just do a quick, brief overview of kind of how we've gotten to this point today. We've had several Tourist Development Council meetings over the past couple of months, so I just kind of wanted to give you a quick rundown of that, if I could. So the September 17th TDC meeting, the council had a discussion on our waning occupancy numbers, and then also a discussion on a little bit of a surplus fund that we have in reserves of $12.2 million. So they directed and asked staff, hey, what can we do with these occupancy numbers, and especially in light of these dollars we have? And so they directed staff to bring back some options for them to consider for marketing, to kind of beef up our marketing efforts for FY25. So staff did that, and at the October 15th meeting, we brought back 3 options for the council to consider. They selected option 1, which is an option totaling $5,067,500. We presented 2 other options, like I mentioned. Those options were for $3.7 million and just about $2.5 million. So the council then discussed these options. They selected option 1. They wanted to have a emergency meeting the following week, which was October 23rd, to further discuss this and then kind of work on the presentation and what exactly was going to be presented ultimately to the Board of County Commissioners. Excuse me. So that's kind of where we are. So I'd kind of like to walk you through a little bit of kind of where we stand with kind of our tourism economy, if I could take a few minutes to do that. So let me move ahead here with the slides. Actually, first I'm going to back up, and I'm going to cover this item for emergency hurricane recovery marketing request. As we heard the agenda item earlier, this request is actually for 2 items, kind of within one agenda item. So one is a request of $390,000 to kind of really address the negative perceptions out there for the 2 storms that we just recently had here in Southwest Florida, and really for most of Florida for that. And so the ask is for $390,000 for additional marketing funds so we can beef up our marketing and directly related to addressing negative perceptions. So the council made a recommendation of $390,000. We do have an emergency fund, and that is Fund 1106, and there is $1.5 million in that fund. And I know I had a couple of conversations with commissioners on Friday, and so we have a couple of different pots that we can pull from. And I think I might have mentioned to Commissioner Saunders, I think I might have said $2 million. But when I spoke to Chris Johnson after our meeting, he said that he was more comfortable with that $1.5 million figure, that he wanted to leave those other funds, that other $500,000 untouched. So it is $1.5 million. So that's one item. And then the other item is for the $5 million, which is enhanced marketing efforts. And now I'll kind of talk a little bit about current state of tourism and kind of how we got here. So, as I just mentioned, we've obviously had to address negative perceptions with storms. But, we've also had to address, negative perceptions with obviously, red tide, the economy, certainly the pandemic, and then, hurricanes. Our occupancy numbers, if you look at this chart here, the highlighted area, you see Naples. So we're looking at 2 numbers here. And so an overall of 64% hotel occupancy, and then the leisure side of that is 46.2%. And group obviously is making up about 18% of that number. So just wanted to stress this, and you kind of see how we are in the pecking order. I mean, we're second to last in the state, and then, I shouldn't say the state, out of our comp set. And then you see here that we have some tourism development tax numbers for the last quarter of fiscal year 24, and our TDT numbers are starting to decline a little bit. Not much, about $250,000, but there is definitely a correlation between those occupancy numbers and the TDT numbers being collected.
Mr. Jusa, can
Yes.
I just jump in just
Sure.
Just to set the table a little bit, because we had the benefit of many TDC meetings because I'm the chair and Commissioner Hall will be the chair next year. So I can cheat a little bit because these are slides that I wake up in the middle of the night screaming, because I know the details on here. But first of all, to correct one thing, you're not asking us for $300,000 for emergency and for $5 million. You're asking to spend money that you control, but you have to come to the commissioners to ask our permission to write that check because it's above and beyond, your normal spending. And I really think it would be more advantageous to break this up into 2 things because you have 2 asks here. One is your emergency spend ask after the recent storms that we've had in a row, and that is, that's standard. We've had many departments that come here, emergency management and others, that say, the storm's over. We have a pot of money to spend during these emergency times when we're negatively affected. And in this particular case, to counter the last few storms, and you correct me if I'm wrong, we're asking for $300,000. And so, me in particular, to not sort of just mash all the two together because they're two totally separate things. If the other commissioners have any, questions about that, the $300,000, to ask basically permission to spend that money that you already have, and that's what these tourism dollars are for. And you have well more than $300,000. If we want to break that up and explain where that $300,000 will go, but I just think for the sake of argument, before we dive into this one, that we should discuss that, vote on it. I mean, obviously, I'm in favor of it, or else we wouldn't have brought it here. So as the TDC chairman, I already would make the motion that we allow the $300,000 worth of emergency spending in a multitude of ways that you can dive into. Obviously, if I had an issue with it, I wouldn't have had it come to the board here. But we're behind several other counties, not only in emergency spending when these storms hit, but then when we move into this second request to spend TDC dollars, it's the same type of thing. But I just thought for the emergency spending, which is, I don't want to call it a formality, but we vote on emergency spending for lots of departments, and that's what this is here. So I don't particularly have any questions on that, but I'd make a motion to approve that based on if my colleagues have any questions or don't.
I appreciate that, and I mean, that depends on however the board wants to proceed. I mean, if they want to address it as two items, we were just asked by the TDC council to bring it forward as one item, so.
Can you go back to that slide on the emergency 300?
This one here?
Can you just give a kind of a quick overview on if that money was approved in total to be spent out of your own funds, how you would utilize it?
Yeah, so we would utilize these funds to beef up our efforts for digital, social, and then for display and video ads. So it's kind of like commercial. I mean, this isn't broadcast television because that's really expensive, and $400,000 isn't going to get us too far at broadcast television. So this is for, like, when you're streaming and you see a commercial on streaming, so it's that type of advertising. So it's digital, social, and then video.
Yeah, I was just going to add, and then I'll leave it there, that we did this very thing after Ian, that we approved emergency funds to basically counter what was out there saying, and I think the tagline was, Collier County is open for business, that sort of thing. So we're maybe a little late in doing that here, but this would allow us to add a bit more of an aggressive, reminder to people that we're still not doing cleanup, and other counties have already done that.
Yeah.
So that's the emergency request to spend what's the exact total, just for the record?
It's $390,000.
Okay.
Commissioner McDaniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I like the idea. I'm not sure that it's necessary that we vote on these two separately, but I do have some questions about the second portion of this agenda item. So I'll be happy to second Commissioner LaCastro's motion if you want to take these two in two separate votes.
Sure. Motion's made and seconded. All in favor for the 390 emergency funds, say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners. So we'll then move on to the second part of that agenda item, the $5 million in enhanced marketing efforts. So let me advance the slides here a little bit. So let's see. I think I covered everything on this slide.
And I'll preface this one again, that this is because there was some stuff out in our news media when we talked about this at a TDC meeting, and it made it sound like Jay's coming here and asking us for a check. He controls an account that has TDC dollars in it, but in order to write a check out of an account that he controls, he needs our permission. We all understand that, but I just want to get that in there for the record, because there was an article that said something like, TDC asks Collier County for $5 million, and that's not the case. He's sitting on 13+ million for things like this. And when one of the things we also tasked Jay with when he was hired, and we all remember him standing at the podium, and we said, listen, you're a fresh set of eyes. You're bringing a lot of aggressive experience here that maybe we haven't had previously. Shake the tree hard and see if we're doing everything possible, if we're spending the taxpayer dollars wisely, if we're wasting it. We've had a lot of really fruitful conversations up here. Do we really want to spend X number of dollars overseas and here and there and show us the value? We want to know that we're, what I commonly say at the TDC meetings is, I don't want to spend any money. I want to invest it. And then I want it proven that that investment was worth it. And, Jay has really shaken the trees with a great TDC staff that we already had, but from a different perspective. And we also wanted to, I think it was something that one of the other commissioners, it might have even been you, Commissioner Hall, that had said at one of the meetings, what are the other counties doing? And at the time we were kind of like, well, we think they're doing a lot, but we really don't know. And you've put those figures here. And I can just tell you at the TDC meeting, we were even surprised and disappointed more than we thought that some counties that are a lot less than Collier are doing a heck of a lot more to combat some of the negative publicity from the storms, but also on the flip side to make sure they don't lose market share. And regardless if people think tourism in Collier County is important or not, it is. It does an awful lot for even full-time residents. But anyway, just to set that table there. So you have 13 point something in your account right now, and what you're proposing to us is 3 different possibilities. Right. The TDC recommended the first one of $5 million and change to be able to be spent from that 13, but you're gonna, and then you're also going to show us how we compare,
Right.
to other counties, why we're concerned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate you kind of queuing that up for my next slide. But just real quick before we depart from this one, just one comment I'd like to make as far as the occupancy rates. So, one thing also that we need to consider as we move forward is the influx of new hotel rooms coming online in this next year. I mean, we're projecting 1,000 hotel rooms coming online. And so that will definitely have an impact on our occupancy rates. I mean, that's another 147,000 room nights just for us to stay at our current level. And so without increased demand, we could fall by an additional 5%. So it's really important that we really try to stay ahead of this with our marketing efforts. And you can see here, this slide, we kind of got a little peek behind the curtain just a moment ago with Commissioner Castro's comment. So this is a comparison of the different DMOs, our competitive set within the state of Florida. And you can kind of see the highlighted area at the bottom there. That's us, Collier County. And so I just want to kind of give some of these numbers that Commissioner Castro just mentioned, some of our competitors and what they're doing. So several organizations have increased their budgets recently. Visit Tampa just raised their budget by $6 million, Amelia Island by $5.2 million. Visit Sarasota and Bradenton CVB contributed each $100,000 to a recovery marketing effort that Visit Florida is then matching $500,000 to. Space Coast Office of Tourism is also increasing its budget. Visit Florida is going to be asking the legislature for an additional $20 million. So you can kind of obviously see there's a trend there. Everybody's up in their game when it comes to marketing their destinations. And so for us to stay competitive, it's definitely something that we need to look at and consider. So if there's any questions about this, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay. And then, so here's a slide. So obviously, we just addressed the hurricane recovery marketing. And again, thank you for that approval. The next item is the TDT reserve investment out of Fund 1101. And you can kind of see there the list: feeder market growth and expansion, enhanced efforts to impact off-season, strengthen sales efforts, expand paid advertising, and additional research, data, and insights. So some of the markets, I know I had a conversation with Commissioner Hall on Friday, and he was interested in kind of some of the markets and what that would look like for an expansion. So we're looking at, markets like Boston, Philadelphia, Detroit, Indianapolis. So the Northeast and the Midwest. And one thing I will just say, some of this kind of just depends on where we ultimately land with the dollar amount provided by the board. And so it might just be an expansion of current markets. It could be additional markets, but then it depends on what market we want to select and how expensive those markets are. I mean, obviously, if we want to market in New York City, very expensive market. If we want to market in Atlanta, very expensive market. So that just kind of determines where we'll ultimately place our media buys when we determine the amount of money that we get from the board.
Or you're not getting money from the board, you're
Well,
getting approval to spend money. That
Approval from the board. Thank you. And then I know, Commissioner Hall, you had also asked a couple questions on research. So some of the additional research would be on branding and positioning, exploring our markets and where we want to expand to. And then also for our market perception, what do people think about our destination? So those are some of the marketing efforts that we could do with these additional dollars. And then here you can kind of see, I mean, this is just a slide of kind of why we're here today. I mean, the value of supporting Collier County tourism. I mean, it's about economic impact. And for me, I'm really passionate about the jobs. People make their livelihoods off of tourism jobs. It's how they feed their families and give them shelter, pay their rent, their mortgage. And so I think these are really important numbers. Looking at the total wages, $1.2 billion, and the local tourism jobs, 28,000+ jobs.
Jay, let me just, one of the things that I had a conversation with Mr. Tusa about Friday was how would he feel as a tourism director if we verified these numbers from a third party? And he actually said to me, he said, we do verify it from a third party. He said, we don't come up with these. So I thought the public should know that, because it's important that we're not just making these numbers up to make them sound good. This is actually what somebody else that we've hired came back and told us. So I just thought that was worthy to note.
Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Saunders.
Just a quick question, and maybe I should have waited until the end. With the Paradise Coast Sports Facility and professional soccer coming there, I'm assuming that the TDC takes a look at what the potential impact will be in terms of promotion of this as a destination. Am I correct in making that assumption? And if I am, what types of things will you be looking at? Because that impacts the amount that we have to advertise as well.
Correct. So, I mean, we'll be looking at, obviously our demographic, where people are coming from, our feeder markets for our sports tourism, in particular, football, soccer. So we'll be looking at those things as, they have their inaugural year coming up.
So would you be able to set up some meetings with, I think it's FC Naples, if I'm saying that correctly, with them to understand what their marketing program will be and how marketing this destination will be part of that marketing effort?
Absolutely. And I actually had a meeting last week with Roberto Moreno. And so we have a great relationship with FC Naples. And so those are definitely some things that we can talk about with them.
Sometime after the first of the year, I'd like to hear from you as to what that impact will be. And part of that rationale in asking for that is we've got a major investment in that Paradise Coast facility, and there are a lot of benefits that we're going to be getting from that, and this is one of them. And so I'd like some analysis of how that's going to play out.
Happy to work on that for you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, that concludes my presentation. So if there's any questions of the board, I hope I addressed some of the questions that I received on Friday in my one-on-one meetings, but certainly happy to answer any other questions you might have.
We have some public comment, but before that, we got Commissioner LoCastro.
Oh, let's hear from the public comment, and then I'll.
We have 12 registered speakers for this item, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, it's 10:18. Did you want to start these, or do you want to take a court reporter break and then do, what's your pleasure, sir?
We have 12, that's 36 minutes worth. I think we're getting ready to pass this. Let's take a court reporter break, then we'll come back and do that. So let's be back at 10:30.
Chair, you have a live mic.
So before we get to public comment, if necessary, we'll, Commissioner LaCastro.
Thank you, Chairman. As the chair of the TDC, I just want to assure my colleagues and anybody who's listening, we have just done an unbelievable amount of homework, deep dive. We had an emergency meeting, which went several hours. A lot of pencils have been sharpened to go into this. I can't stress enough, this isn't the tourism, development senior leader sitting in front of us asking us for money. He controls money and comes to us with a fresh set of eyes, and we've asked him to shake the trees, and he has done that, and he's asking permission to spend $5 million of the $13 million and change that he has in an account that is identified for this exact purpose. And so, and I know that you've spent a lot of time with other commissioners. This is important to us, but it's something that we definitely fully understand and grasp. I know we've got 12 speakers, and what you have in those 12 speakers, I'll just venture to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have senior leaders from the community, from the business community. I'm looking at the top people in the audience here, from the JW Marriott, from the Ritz-Carlton, FC Naples is here represented, and they've all been very, very involved in our TDC meetings. And so this catches us up to where a lot of other counties are. If they came to the podium, I have no doubt that I could encapsulate what they're going to say, which is we talk to our colleagues at these other counties, and every time a storm hits, every time a hurricane hits, a lot of these counties, they jumped on what we're about to do, hopefully about to do, some of them a lot quicker than us. So Jay, I really take my hat off to you leading this group and being plugged in with our community so quickly with you in the seat, and the meetings that we've had have gotten us to this point. And if all of the TDC board didn't feel comfortable with option one and how that money is going to be properly invested in a variety of ways, we wouldn't have made the proposal. So rather, I'll just, anybody can be heard at the podium. I'm not here to stifle voices, but to have 12 people come up here and convince us of something that I'm already convinced of, but I can't speak for my colleagues. So I'll make a motion that option one be approved, the what's the exact amount?
$5,067,500.
We've already approved the 390.
Right, we've already approved the emergency spending, so that be approved and that you go forward. But as we said in the TDC meetings, and if in fact this amount is approved, that you come back to the commissioner meetings on a regular basis when to give us a report card as to what ways you're going, like you said, depending on the amount and also the analysis, so that we know how you're investing these dollars. But I'll make a motion that option one be approved as is.
I'll second that, and just make a comment with my second. This is money that we collect from the tourists that come here. And this is money that we're going to allow to go back to get more tourists to come here and give us more tourism dollars. So this money's not coming from any other source. So it's not an emergency fund, or it's monies that we collect to do this very thing. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Mr. Chair, we have the public speakers. I'm sorry, sir.
I'm going to ask that we vote, and then if you want to speak, you can. If there's anybody in opposition, is there anybody in opposition to this in the crowd? I want to definitely allow you to speak before we vote. Okay, great. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Now, if you want to speak, you're welcome to come up here.
Do you want me to call the names, sir, and do
Just real quick, I'd like to say thank you, commissioners, and then to the point Commissioner LaCastro just made, I will be back and I will be giving you updates. So, but again, thank you for doing this for the industry.
If there is anybody, a lot of you in the audience, I'm familiar with your faces and names and what you do for our community. If you have anything to say, like the chairman said, the podium's here. But if not, I would just say, please continue, as I know you will, to really stay plugged in with our tourism director and the TDC, and make sure that we're getting your good ideas, that you're finding out what your colleagues in other counties, because that was the big charge that all of us gave Jay, which was come here and make sure we're not falling behind. And this just isn't about spending money to dump more traffic on the roads, and I'm sure it'll be spun by some that way. But it's also about protecting our jobs. You see here almost 30,000 plus, and that might even be a little bit low. But like you said, these are numbers that we didn't make up, and it's also about reminding people that this community is back from the storms, and so it's not just about packing people into hotels. The money is invested in so many other ways, and so we'll continue to hear that over time. But I thank you again, Jay, for all the time that you've put into this, and the time that you've spent with my fellow commissioners to make sure that no stone went unturned.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, do you want me to call these names and have them waive, or how would you like to proceed, sir?
You can call them and they can waive if they want.
Waive or speak. Chris Lopez.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you so much for your leadership today. I just wanted to say it is my esteemed pleasure as the Regional Director for the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association to work with one of the finest group of board members, business leaders from this community who you all have been meeting with. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your support, and we look forward to working with you all and the TDC and the transitions there to really maximize the impact and show that Collier County is leading this charge across the state. A lot of eyes are on this meeting this morning, not just from this area, but from across the state and other TDCs and other counties and in Tallahassee specifically. So thank you so much.
Kit Baker. Thank you. Christina Park. Bob Moreno. Sure.
Hi, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. Bob Moreno with FC Naples. Just wanted to thank you again for the support of this motion. And Commissioner Saunders will be working together with Mr. Tusa because I think that if we work together and combine our marketing dollars and our marketing efforts, things can go a much longer way. So I just wanted to say you can count on my personal support and FC Naples support to assist in any way we can. Thank you.
Isla Crane. Ginny Gisela. Meg Stepanian. Sorry about butchering your last name. Sean Lockwood. Mark Furland.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for all your support. It's good to see everybody. Mark Furlan, Area General Manager for the Ritz-Carlton Resorts of Naples. And I just wanted to say several days after the hurricane hit, we met with Jay, and we said, what is the plan to put us back on the map? And within those days, Jay and his team already had a plan. And the Commissioner was correct is that when we look at these other destinations, particularly Amelia Island, which has not even close to the rooms we have already marketing. So we're really excited. I like to say we're not responsible for just the hotel business, but 28,000 employees that rely on the hospitality business. And like I always say, our teams and our associates create the experiences to get the guests back to Collier County, but the marketing team, particularly Jay's team, is responsible for the destination sell. And that's what Commissioner Hall was basically saying, to use those dollars. So we're really appreciative, and we're going to make a big impact. That 64% occupancy he put up there is concerning. Because hotels like Sharon's and myself are actually down in pace. We have less rooms on the books for Christmas, for instance, than we did this time last year. But our big concern is those 5 months of the off season. So this will be a great help for us to compete against those other counties. So thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Mick Moore.
Morning, Commissioners. Mick Moore from the Vanderbilt Beach Resort and Turtle Club Restaurant. I want to thank you today for recognizing that tourism requires constant reinvestment. Not everyone recognizes that. It's very important. I really appreciate the fact that you all recognize that. Just because Collier County has been a fantastic and successful tourist destination for many years does not mean it's guaranteed. So the work that you're doing today with marketing is important. The work that we do to maintain our beaches and to expand tourism opportunities in other parts of the county is important. And I think everyone realizes now, after a year like we've had, that part of storm resiliency is coming up with a marketing plan. So I appreciate your efforts. Thank you again for being a board that's very focused and understands the fact that the tourism industry requires constant reinvestment. Thank you.
Randy Smith. And finally, Clark Hill. That is your speaker, sir.
Thank you all.
Commissioners, that brings us to item 11B. This is a recommendation to approve one Collier County Standard Form long-term lease, not-for-profit, with Warrior Homes of Collier, Inc., a veterans housing organization, for the use of two vacant county-owned homes at 1973 and 2015 Bay Street, and two, in accordance with Section 125.38 Florida statutes, a resolution finding the property is not needed for county purposes. Ms. Trinity Scott, your department head for Transportation Management Services, is here to present. Just briefly, probably, and should turn it over to Commissioner LaCastro first. This request arises out of a meeting with Representative Rommel going back some months. The two, and we worked through a number of options landing on this. The two homes that were selected for this lease are two holdings down near Bayview Park that were purchased for the future construction of boat parking, and we've had them for some years. That is not a project that is currently programmed. So those homes have been used off and on for employee housing when people move here and are looking for some place to live. So they're not planned to be demolished anytime soon, and we will coordinate, if this is approved, we will coordinate closely with Warrior Homes for any future plans of bringing that project onto the books to create that boat parking down there, so that we would give them ample time to find another location in the future should that become a project that we're moving forward on. And with that, Trinity. Or Commissioner LaCastro, maybe.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman and County Manager. Just to set the table, and Representative Rommel did sort of shoot out a note and said, what more can we do to help homeless veterans? And I mean, heck, we just passed the proclamation here saying November's, honoring Veterans Month, so this couldn't come at a better time. We had multiple meetings, so what you're going to hear today is the result of multiple meetings that I was part of, Representative Rommel, senior county staff, agencies in the community that help veterans. And Warrior Homes already has 4 homes to house homeless veterans, Alpha Bravo, Charlie, and Delta House, which they actually just had a big fundraiser a few days ago and raised $1 million to pay off the Delta House. But Dale Mullen, who's the president, founder, CEO of Warrior Homes, made it clear that they still have a wait list of some people. And as Ms. Patterson said, we have these 2 homes that basically are going, I don't want to say unused, but minimally utilized. And so while they're sitting there, as we said, it doesn't tie the homes up in the future if we decide that we have a project that needs to move forward. But to even help a veteran for 6 months, a year, or however long is, I think, something that we would all support. And we're not donating the homes. You'll hear there's a proposal to, have Warrior Homes compensate the county for use of these homes. So it wasn't any kind of like free handout or anything. But a lot of great work went into what Ms. Scott's going to present here with a lot of folks involved. And I'm proud of what the outcome is here. And I think who said it on the panel here when we were talking about the land project? I think it was you, Mr. Chairman, that said, a good deal is something that benefits, both parties. And in this particular case, we sharpened a lot of pencils to figure out how we could do this and how we could, in the end, take care of veterans who are homeless, not in perpetuity, but for a length of time that would at least get some people off the streets and allow the county to be continue to be part of the solution. So, Ms. Scott, that at least maybe sets the table, and thank you in advance for all the hard work that you and Ms. Patterson and the rest of our county staff did to work with Warrior Homes and come up with this proposal.
Certainly. I'll go through this very quickly. The 2 properties, 1973 Bay Street, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. 2015 Bay Street, also a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. We would be leasing with Warriors Homes of Collier County, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to assist veterans focusing on housing, mental health, and education. The terms of the lease would be a 1-year initial term with automatic renewal terms unless either party provides a 30 days written notice of termination, which, as Amy talked about, obviously, if the project comes back online, we're going to know that well in advance of the 30 days, and we will be able to communicate that with the Warriors Homes. The rent is $1,000 per month or $12,000 annually per property. The approved uses are for the long-term supportive housing program for our local veterans, and occupancy is limited to 1 veteran per bedroom. Maintenance costs, minor repairs would be covered by the Warriors, and the county would be responsible for repair or replacement involving major structural, mechanical, electrical, or plumbing failures. Our recommendation today is to approve the resolution and authorize the chair to execute the standard form long-term lease. Any questions?
Mr. Saunders.
Just a quick question. I know there have been some studies to determine how many homeless veterans we have in Collier County, and I know that number changes from day to day, but what's the most recent count on homeless veterans?
I don't have that information at my fingertips, but we can certainly get that to you.
I think the last number I heard was 80. It may be a little bit south of that, but we did talk about that quite a bit when we were working through these meetings. And the representatives from the Warriors Home may actually have a better idea on that number if they may be registered to speak on this item.
I'm sorry, did you say 80 was the number you?
Veterans, not total homeless people.
No, I understand.
That's 80 homeless veterans was the number that was being sort of.
I thought so, but
I couldn't
they
remember.
may have a better idea of that number. I'm looking over to the Warrior Homes folks. They probably have a better pulse on that number and it does fluctuate.
Sure.
Do you want to come to the podium at all, sir? Do you have anything to add? Anybody from Warrior Homes?
We do have Tom Buckley registered to speak. I don't know if one of these gentlemen is Tom. Yeah, Tom?
No,
Yeah,
we'll-
right here,
we'll
sir.
speak after.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Tom Buckley. I serve on the board of Warrior Homes, and I'm also the treasurer of Warrior Homes. Dale Mullen, who many of you know, could not be here today. He's speaking at a homelessness conference in Orlando, so he had to be there. As far as the number of veterans, we're believing it's somewhere around 30 to 40 homeless veterans at this point in time, so it's a little bit less than what was indicated or what was discussed. 4 or 5 years ago, that number was about 90 to 95. And currently, in the last 4 or 5 years, as Mr. LaCastro has said, we put together 4 properties, and those 4 properties now house 33 veterans. So that's 33 veterans that have been taken off the streets. They weren't all necessarily on the streets, but many of these have very limited income, and many of these would be homeless if it were not for Warrior Homes. By the county approving these 2 properties, that will bring the number of beds we have up to 39 beds, which is just phenomenal in trying to address this issue. And we recognize that it could be just a temporary or an interim lease, but we have people right now that are ready to move in to one of those properties. So as far as we're concerned, we have basically, our goal is to end homelessness in Collier County. And if you look at the state of Florida, Florida and 4 other states make up 50% of veteran homelessness across the United States. If we are able to achieve getting rid of homelessness in Collier County, that will say an awful lot for this county and for what the commissioners have done. And that is certainly an attainable goal, and that is what we are looking for. Our philosophy is no veteran should be left behind, and that is really what we're shooting for. And as far as the veterans that go into these properties, they will be fully vetted. We have a rental management company that handles 3 of our properties. We will also be looking at the veterans' discharge papers, their DD-214s. We will make sure that we won't take somebody from the woods into the property. We'll put them into a transitional housing first. So we will, with the 4 properties we have, are very well maintained, and we've had no problems with the veterans that are in there because they want to be in there. And you can be proud that we will have the appropriate veteran residents in these 2 properties. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Tom.
Yes.
Mr. LaCastro.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. I was just going to add, these properties have basically sat virtually unused, and so to be able to have them be a little bit of revenue generating, we're not just giving Warrior Homes the keys, but also we weren't trying to squeeze them for anything over and above. Really thank Mr. Klatskow and his office for working with our county staff on a lease that we thought was appropriate. And I do want to echo that we're really emphatic. This lease is very detailed. We were emphatic that if there's 4 homes that exist already, that those homes be used to vet the veterans. And as and Dale Mullen was part of every meeting, and he basically said, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, the graduates from our current 4 homes is who we put, this is county property. So as was just stated, we're not pulling 4 unknown or whatever the number is, homeless veterans off the street, and they're starting in these county houses. It'll allow you to shift some people around so that we have confidence that the folks that are in the county-owned property homes are vetted and have proven to be good tenants, and then it frees up beds in some of the houses that you control, and we liked that option as well, and that's all in the lease. So I think this is a good solution all the way around, and every little bit helps.
And many of these veterans have very limited income. And those that do, the only thing we charge is 30% of their income. So if someone on Social Security might only make $1,200 a month on Social Security, the most they're going to pay is $360. So they will have some money invested, but we're not going to turn anyone away because of the lack of resources.
So unless there's any questions, I'd make a motion that we approve this lease as is.
Commissioners, if I may, I did get the information on the point in time 2024 survey for veterans is 96.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Mr. Kowal.
Thank you, Chairman. Tom, I'd like to thank you and what Dell have done, to help our homeless veteran population here in Collier County. And I'm kind of familiar with what you guys do, with the Alpha Bravo Delta. Charlie Alpha Bravo.
Right.
My brain's fried this morning.
You were in the Army?
But, I know. I know the phonetic alphabet very well. But I guess my question is, ultimately, we don't want to see any homeless veterans. We want to see all our veterans get to a point where they can, stand on their own 2 feet, and be out there and be, positive in our community. So I guess my question is, you've had this program going for some time now, and you've had the other 4 houses in process. Where is there proactive programs with some of the guys that are capable of, getting to the point where they're not dependent on the homes anymore, that they're out and, you see, them progress through with the help that, now they're in the community, they're surviving on their own, they're renting their own apartments, things of that nature. I mean, because ultimately, we don't want to have to be here forever for that.
Right,
we want them to get to a point where, and I understand some that are, handicapped or some that have, certain situations. They may be dependent on organizations like yourself and, but can you just kind of help me on, are you guys seeing that, as long as you've been in the program, or do you just pretty much helping who you can and
we help who we can, but we also do see that. For example, we have one of our residents in Delta House is a former Navy officer, and he's studying for his master's degree right now. And once he gets that degree and gets employed, he will certainly move elsewhere. And we're not pushing anyone out, but we're all encouraging them to move forward. Some of them, like I say, are aged, and they will probably be there, for the rest of their lives because they don't have family that they can go with. But to the extent that people are younger and motivated, that's certainly what we encourage them to do. And we'll do what we can to help them.
I just kind of asked that question so the public can hear, that, this is not just, we're not just creating housing for these individuals and just warehousing them that. We want the ones that can provide for themselves eventually get out of that rut and be out there and be positive in the community. So thank you for filling me in on that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I would just add that all 4 homes are a little bit of a different flavor. The Delta House has like you said, elderly veterans in there that it is their last stop, and their particular unit was designated for that. But correct me if I'm wrong. We've got veterans in Alpha and Bravo, just like you said, that those are transition houses to get them on their feet, to give them an address so they can get a job, and then they're not there in perpetuity. I mean, the plan and the other houses that are transitional is just that it gives them a place to sort of restart, regroup, and then exit and free up the bed for somebody new to come in. And I already know that you've had that turnover in some of the earlier houses that have been designed for that.
That is exactly correct. That's how it is designed. And of Delta House, for example, that is 10 units. They're all 2-bedroom, 2-bath, so it houses 20 vets. And I can tell you the vets are extremely proud that are in there. The transitional houses, we have Alpha, which is a traditional house that houses some vets that have gone through veteran treatment court. And in fact, one of the speakers at our gala Saturday night went through Veterans Treatment Court. He spent 41 months in the action in the Middle East. He came back with a lot of problems, and now he's engaged with our organization to be a peer-to-peer counselor to veterans, and primarily veterans from the Middle East. And I don't think there was a dry eye when he spoke, and because it all came from the heart on Saturday night.
The use of these county houses will be, like I said, more for, I don't want to call them like the graduates, but already vets that are already in your system that are solid and on their feet and need maybe just a little bit more. They'll transition to these county houses because they take a little less oversight, and then it'll free up beds in your other units.
That's exactly correct.
That's what's in the lease and in the plan.
Yeah, they will all be vetted. Yep.
Commissioner McDaniel.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. I had if Trinity could please put up that screen with regard to the lease negotiations. I have a couple of thoughts I'd like to suggest. There you go. Thank you. The first thing I'd like to say is I love this mission. I think at the end of the day, we can't do enough to support our veterans, especially those that are homeless. One of the things that I'd like to propose to you, my colleagues, is maybe we make an adjustment in the suggested rent here from $1,000 a month to $1 a month, and then ask that the folks from the Homes for Warriors is give us a report on how they're utilizing the money that they do in fact collect from the veterans that they do house, and show the value for the reduction in the rents to be able to be put back into the program to assist other veterans as they're going along. That's my first suggestion, is that we move the rent from $1,000 a month to $1 a year. I said $1 a month, but move it from $1,000 a month to $1 a year. The second would be, if in fact it is the will of the board, I'm going to support the program no matter which way we go with regard to the rent. But my other suggestion would be to if in fact it is the will of the board to charge the $1,000 a month rent, I'm going to suggest that we don't put it into the impact fee fund, just because there are specifics with regard to how and when and where we can spend those monies, but maybe move it over into the maintenance side of Parks and Rec. If in fact we do decide to continue on with that $1,000 a month, we move it over into the Parks Maintenance Fund and not the impact fee fund.
Where did the money come from?
Parks impact fees. So there's,
Parks impact fees?
yeah, so there is some difficulty with moving that money around. If we're not charging rent, that's a different thing, but the $1,000 being pushed to maintenance is not.
I like the fact that these guys have their teeth involved a little bit. it gives them a pride of ownership. It gives them some incentive to take care of things and to live well. I can appreciate the thought from Commissioner McDaniel, but I do like the fact that they're invested a little bit. Commissioner LaCastro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said it perfectly, because I can tell you 1,000 is what we got down to. It was higher than that, but all parties concerned in the group, and I don't want to, Dale Mullen, if he was listening right now, he'd be like, take the dollar. But in reality, they do want to be vested, and the 1,000 was what we whittled it down to. And so, anything less than that obviously helps the organization, and we could debate that, but. Mr. Mullen was very comfortable with 1,000 because the number was a little bit higher, and they, in some discussions negotiated it down to that. And of course, the value there for the taxpayer also is that we're not just donating these houses and all that we came to an agreement that was amenable to both parties and was a good deal, and it wasn't draining, Wounded Warrior's pocket, but it also wasn't giving them the houses for free. The only thing that I would say, and I know I made a motion, and maybe I'll retract that just a little bit, because when this slide came back up, it reminded me of something. As Ms. Patterson said, if all of a sudden we need these houses, although it says in the lease 30 days, we're not kicking veterans out. But one of the things that we had in a previous version, and I wasn't part of the legal discussions that came down to what we see in front of us, but I was more comfortable with 90 days. We made it really clear to Mr. Mullen that whatever's written in here is maybe a formality, because we're going to be good stewards, but putting words matter, right? Commissioner Saunders, and a legal document does matter. So I think that answers the question. I think Commissioner McDaniel has great intention, and we'll see if it's the will of the board. But 1,000 was something that they felt like they were getting a good deal and that they were vested. But I want to see if maybe anybody has an appetite to, at least in writing, put something more than 30 days. I mean, if we were landlords, and we are landlords, and we had tenants in there, and we had in writing 30 days. So maybe it's more of a formality. But I think seeing 90 days in writing would be something that I think would be a positive, improvement to this lease, so that at least in writing it shows that we're not that it covers both sides. So I don't know what my colleagues think, but that's a little background on the 1,000, and then I don't know your thoughts on the written notice of termination. I would propose that we make that 90 days, unless that's there's some sort of legal issue with that.
Mr. LaCastro, if I may, I believe the lease in item 6 says 120-day notice of termination by either party. So
yeah, but I think that was changed, right, Ms. Patterson?
30-day termination for convenience. We've done 90 days in the past.
Yeah.
Commissioner McDaniel.
What you have is a little dated.
Oh, it is dated. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Commissioner McDaniel.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Thank you. And there again, I'm not debating. I'm totally happy with the presentation as it is. One other thing, I really love this mission, and the veterans that are staying in these homes do in fact pay, as was already mentioned, a percentage of what their income in fact is. This reduction in rent would be assisting the organization of Warrior Homes just to further help their mission. And my thought was, if we are seeing the benefit of the rent reduction from $1,000 a month to $1 a year, it would, and as Commissioner LaCastro stated, that Dale would certainly be cheering for the $1 a year. I'm not going to stomp my feet on this. It was just a thought that if they came back to us with a report as to how they're reinvesting this money back into the mission to support Warrior Homes, this would be a really, really good thing for us to do. But in either case, I'm happy to support whatever the will of the board is.
Commissioner Cowell.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I don't know about the $1 a year. I mean, I know what it's like. If the people have to go pay for a new air conditioner at $4,000. We don't have 4,000 years to recoup that $1 back. But, I know I'm being a little sarcastic. but
Not really.
I think they're getting 6 of their people in homes, really nice homes to be proud of, to be in, and six people they didn't have home, two properties to put these people in to begin with, in the county, and having this partnership with them. I think that's a benefit, and taking ownership in this. But I don't want the people to be stuck on maintenance. We know 1 or 2 major things go wrong, and it's in our contract. We are here to fix it. We got to use the people's money to fix it. So, I feel more comfortable at, whatever price was negotiated in the original contract with, when you guys sat down. I think that's more than fair. They're getting 2 properties they wouldn't have had, So I think that's a plus. And we're here for you, I I don't see these properties going anywhere anytime soon. We've owned them for a long time. To do these parking lots for the park over there was just haven't even come up on the radar in years. So, and we already use them time to time, the house county employees, so at least now, they'll be fulfilled and being used on a daily basis for a good thing. So thank you.
Well, Commissioner LaCastro has made a motion and amended it for the lease with the 90-day written notice, which at the speed of government, 90 days is kind of quick, so I'm good with that, so I'll second it. And all in favor of the 90-day term and the lease as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. On behalf of Warrior Homes, we're most appreciative of everything you're doing on behalf of veterans, and this is a big thing for veterans. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Troy, did we have anybody signed up for public comment?
We do.
Okay, because yes, when we went to our
We would
times-
get to them at 15B, so I wasn't worried.
Okay, so I guess we could just continue on that way. We might as well take the final item. Okay, sorry. That brings us to item 11C. This is a recommendation to award construction invitation to bid number 24-8217R, Collier County Government Operations Business Park, Sheriff Forensics and CID Buildings, to Rycon Construction, Inc. in the amount of $51,935,473.50, with an owner's allowance of $4 million for potential unforeseen conditions, and authorize the chairman to sign the attached agreement and approve necessary budget amendments. Mr. Brian Deloney, your interim director of facilities management, is here to present.
Good morning, Commissioner. So forensics, we've been coming at this one for a while right now. So back in May 2019, surtax validation of $33 million. January, board approved change in the scope of the project, upsizing the project. 2024, June, we bid out the project, and then in September of 2024, we revalidated with surtax to increase the budget. We were hoping to start this project at the end of this year in December. The project location, as you can see, provided here is just north of Paradise Coast Sports Complex. And then there's the site plan showing the 2 facilities. Basically, 95,000 square foot forensics and CID facility with forensic vehicle storage of 19,000 square feet. Here shows the renderings of the building. On the top, that's the forensics facility, and on the bottom, that's the vehicle facility. We received 4 bids on this, with Rycon providing the lowest bid. The owner's allowance included or not included in the bid amount is $4 million. Little information on Rycon. They're an employee-owned firm. They have $1.1 billion in revenue in 2023. They were reported in Engineering News Records as a top 400 contractor in 2023 and 2024. Rycon is currently actually doing the work from us on EMS 74 right now. Fiscal impact. As you can see there, the total with the 51 plus the 4 is 55 million, roughly, almost 56. Total surtax budget is 68 million. And this item includes a budget amendment to move the money into the project from the reserves of the surtax. Overall, the recommendation is to approve the award to Rycon.
Great. So, Mr. Dillon, I have a question. So the surtax, they didn't just increase the money from 33 million to 35 million. They actually added 35 million to the 33 to make a total of 68?
Yes, sir.
Great. So we're not in a budget deficit at all. It's surtax money that's already been earmarked and set aside, so that's a winner.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. When they decided to combine more elements with the forensics building, at that time the decision was made that we would take some of the, I don't like to use the word excess, but some of the unallocated surtax due to time and interest and things to this project. So this is one of a couple that will be the recipients of some additional funding.
Great. Commissioner Kowal.
Thank you, Chairman. So this project, from what I understand, now I know we use a forensic storage, is the parking garage over here by Building H, the bottom half down there, you know, that would no longer be used, correct? This would all be moved out to the new forensic?
We have a representative from the sheriff's office here.
Oh, yes, I recognize them.
Good morning. Sean Williams, Central Services Director for the Sheriff's Office, for the record. Commissioner Kowal, we'd work with your staff to discuss the opportunities for maybe getting out of some lease space elsewhere and using that for storage for our use or for corrections.
Yeah, because that's what I was trying to get to, because I think, right, then CID is going to be moved over?
Yes, sir. Everybody out of Horseshoe, our CID Youth Relations Patrol, would come out of that Horseshoe facility, and Mr. Deloney's group would use that for other space or do what they need to with that facility.
Do we lease Horseshoe or do we own Horseshoe? Do we know that?
The county owns Horseshoe.
We do own
Yes,
Horseshoe,
we do.
even though it's in the city.
Yep. We they were annexed into the city a number of
Yeah,
years
they were
ago, but we do own that building. It does need some work. It's an older building, but we would be looking at then reallocating that space to another need, perhaps somebody that's in lease space. And with the campus of transportation and community development over there, there may be some need for that spot as well.
We can probably use some of this, jockey some of this stuff around and save some money somewhere else on lease space.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sean.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion and second made. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you. Commissioners, that brings us to item 15. Staff and Commission General Communications. 15A is public comments on general topics not on the current or future agenda by individuals not already heard during previous public comments in this meeting.
We have two. Katie Tardif will be followed by Garrett FX Byrant.
Good morning. Well, I've written and rewritten this several times as new information kept coming in, and I'm at somewhat of a loss how to get this all into 3 minutes. So I'm going to begin by saying that it starts with, this is about Amendment 4, the failed amendment that is causing terrorism and strife and stress for girls and women in Collier County because of the boys and men who are now holding signs. Let's see, did you see the one in La Tortoria a few days ago? The guy holding the "Your Body's Our Choice" sign over his head, got waiter to dance with that sign over his head. And now boys are taunting girls in school with that, or on playgrounds, or on sidewalks. You could have seen that coming. And I can't imagine there's a thing you can do about it. So I'm going to move away from that to say that was an unintended, I hope, consequence of your deliberate actions without consideration of the effects. There's another thing that I want to describe to you because I don't think it's fully understood what the complications are now for all pregnant people, I'll say women, or girls, because Florida is becoming a pregnancy care desert now, just like other states with laws like this in effect. Doctors, OBGYNs, nurses, lower level staff, but still in the delivery room with the OBGYN staff taking care of the pregnant woman and trying to take care of the fetus. And it turning out that some choices have to be made that may not pass muster with the folks who are watching so closely everything. So something that starts as sepsis, you must know how tragically that can turn out. But what do? Do you save the mother? Do you save the fetus? Doctors and OBGYN professionals are fleeing, just like they have in other states. What are we going to do about that? Because that's the state we're living in. We're living in a boys get to terrorize girls, scare the hell out of them, and men get to dance in public places holding these horrid signs. And that's what we've come to.
Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Your next and final speaker is Garrett FX Byron.
Good morning, Garrett FX Byron. I've been requested to speak by the Golden Gate Farmers Market. That's the Rackows. That's father and son team that have been running the market for, I guess, I'm only been familiar with for 15 years. So they've been out there longer than that. And every week I volunteer either Saturday or Sunday to help out at the farmers market. And they've been able to keep all of their booths filled with people. And it's just a very, it's a little tense with people trying to become great Americans in the economy of this world. So it just happened to be that one of the ones I was noticing in the last week was the Venezuelan family that started. Now I say these people are actually all legally in this country. I know periodically ICE would show up hoping they're going to bust somebody, and they walked away with nobody to bust. So, and the world is not made totally of Mexico. There are a lot of other nations out there. And they also wanted me to tell Bert, thank you very much for being reelected. Like it was a really tough one. Long and short, the Venezuelan people are the newest introduction to the farmers market where people actually make food specifically that is popular in their own country. In this case, the latest one, I bought this. They didn't give me anything. I don't take gifts from people. And this is the shirt that the crew, which is the husband, wife, and their daughter. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get their daughter, and she's interested in making special foods specifically from Venezuelan menus. And the father designed this shirt, which is really neat. And it's like a combination now of the flags of Venezuela and America. It's sort of like a Confederate flag of sorts, but it's basically what everybody wears in their own restaurant. It says the word Venezuela on it too, and they sell these for like $12 if you wanted to buy one. However, everybody out there loves to have visits from everybody in Collier County at both markets, the one at the Golden Gate Community Center, which has been going stronger because it started earlier, and the one that's out on 951. So go out there and help kids to follow the ideas that their parents are instilling them. They're still out there. They have that, whatever that national our American drive to train your kids to be better than you are. Thank you.
That's all we have, sir.
Great.
Commissioners, we have no staff project updates. That brings us to 15C, Staff and Commission General Communications. So we are watching a spot of weather down below Cuba. Not to dampen the mood this late in the hurricane season. Hopefully that's nothing, but just we will keep you apprised if anything develops. With that, happy Thanksgiving.
Great.
County Attorney.
Nothing, thank you.
Commissioners.
Commissioner McDaniel.
Mr. Chair, first of all, I want to thank you all for indulging me to attend remotely. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you in December.
How is the survey going?
Very, very well, sir. Thank you.
Great. Happy Thanksgiving. Commissioner Kowal.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to say that, we've been doing a lot of good work. I'm really enjoying my time here on the board. Coming to another end, to another year here, next meeting in December. Learned a lot. I enjoy working with you guys. I had an opportunity to speak yesterday at a veterans event, and in my speech, I touched on some things that, in 1775, back on April 19th, people referred to as the shot heard around the world. And then on that day, a lot of people became American veterans on that specific moment in time. But what they were fighting for was the liberty and to fight against tyranny and the rule of a monarch or a king. And that sparked a lot of other people in the world to get motivated to do the same exact thing, followed by the Greeks. The Greeks fought against the Ottoman Empire that was controlling them for many, many years. It motivated them, what the American veteran did and what we stood up for. And what we stood for is to have a government led by the people. And the people have spoken when they voted last Tuesday. And I know not everybody's happy. You can't make everybody happy, but we have to understand that the people are the ones that run this country. And when they vote, that's what controls what happens in this country. And historically, we had a vote that both the majority and the Electoral College both agreed this time, which barely happens. It's usually one or the other. And I think this nation has gotten to a point where they're seeing through the media, celebrities, things that are being pushed down our throats, and just want to live their lives. And I think they're waking up to it. And I think it showed this past week. And that, of course, not everybody's going to be happy, but the way our government and the way our veterans fought and died is to have the people have the voice. And when the people speak, that's the greatest thing of this country. It's the greatest part that makes this country what it is today. So it does happen in cycles. We're not always going to be happy with the result, but the great thing is we can always work harder next time, and it'll just, we always keep moving forward. This country corrects itself. I truly believe that. It gets to a point where it starts to fall over the cliff, but it self-corrects itself. And I just wanted to put that on record that, I know there's people out there that aren't happy with results, but in reality is the results are the correction, and the people made that correction, nobody else.
Well said. Commissioner LaCastro.
Thank you, Chairman. I just have one thing. What I had pulled off of this BCC meeting, the Fiddler's Creek Section 29 development, and added it to the December 10th meeting. This one, I did that because this one requires a bit of homework on all of us. This resides in my district, but we all get to vote, as we always say. This is a big project with a lot of moving parts. A lot of citizens are very vocal about it on both sides. I mean, I've gotten, it's a project that if you've already done a deep dive, it's a development that's being proposed. It has a fair amount of affordable housing. but there's some environmental impacts that are worthy of doing some background on, and it just behooves us that on December 10th, I would just tell my colleagues, please come here as prepared as you can, be as available as you can, not only to citizens but also to the applicant. The applicant's a citizen as well, so that I also. It's in my district, but like we always say, we all vote on everything. It would just help if all 5 of us had perspective on this. I know it would even help me to hear your thoughts, because you're hearing the same things I'm hearing, but within a different ear. This one's complicated, and we've had other complicated ones, but this isn't one to, we're just delaying it and, we'll vote on it on the 10th. I really wanted to move it to give all of us time to be available to citizens or to read emails or to sit down if you had the need with the applicant, so that we came here and we weren't at step 0. I mean, trust me, I'm not at step 0, but it would definitely help. That one's got a lot of heavy lifting in it, and it also has the potential to set precedent. Something else comes before us that has similar moving parts as this one. It's not a slam dunk on either side. So I know I have a lot of homework to do, and that's why I wanted to give myself maximum time to speak more with Mike Bosey and the growth management team, and to be available to citizens and to the applicant as well. And while the remainder of the commissioners are going to need some of that as well when we prepare for this one, because this will be a big one. But having said that, that's all I got. Thanks very much. We passed a lot of great things today.
Commissioner Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want a quick report from the Productivity Committee. They were tasked to take a look at red light cameras, and they did quite a bit of research from different communities that have red light cameras. They got a tremendous amount of research from the state of Florida, and they also evaluated the blue light issue that we just approved, and they were leaning away from recommending red light cameras, but once they were aware of the blue light issue, their view is they would like to continue to evaluate red light cameras. They would like to be part of the evaluation of the effectiveness of the blue lights in terms of slowing down the number or reducing the number of red light runners. And so just wanted this board to know that the Productivity Committee spent quite a lot of time in a meeting as well as individually in doing research on the cameras. And they'll keep taking a look at it, but they did a very thorough job on that.
Can I ask a question about that? And this might require Ms. Scott or somebody to come to the podium. I don't want to belabor the meeting, but one of the things that multiple citizens said that I thought had a lot of merit is, while we're debating the cameras and all that, which is, it's a major movement, that even just delaying some of the key intersections that have had accidents, delaying the amount of time between the red and the green light. So like, the light turns red, let's say somebody runs it, you can prevent an accident if the light that's about to turn green turns green 3 seconds later, or whatever the magic number is. Now, I know that doesn't help traffic and things like that, but that was something that we had, and we're already doing some of that, I think was what we were told by traffic management, that there's some key places, and Trinity's nodding her head. So you don't need to come to the podium, but I think that one definitely had merit because it was an easy fix. It didn't involve any kind of expense for the red lights, but there's some key intersections that, when you look at the statistics, definitely are our major accident prone, and maybe a little bit more delay. But like I said, Trinity's nodding her head that we definitely are doing that. I thought that had a lot of merit to prevent probably quite a few accidents, even if we do have a red light runner. Because as we know, even the red light camera, that doesn't prevent anybody from running the light. So what can we do that if somebody does run the light, they're not slamming into a car that just got a green light and it was the delay? So
Well, I think at the last meeting when we talked about that, there is a delay before the light turns green for the other side, and it's the timing of that's based on what the speed limit is and the clearance time for the intersection. So I think that's already taken into account.
I think what we were talking about was just analyzing that we have the delays right, or we don't want to add an extra second or two in the areas where the accidents seem to be sort of a higher number. But if that, like I said, if that's already being done, maybe it's good that we put that on the record, that we're not sitting here still debating red light cameras, that there's other proactive things that we are currently doing and also aggressively analyzing for improvements to these intersections and their safety.
I'm all about doing things that are smart, but I also get the emails that when we're considering a land subject, Commissioner, if you approve this, you're going to kill people. You're going to add traffic to the road, and the blood's going to be on your hands. And I want to say to the public, the blood is never on our hands. The blood is on hands of people who don't obey the traffic laws. That's who kills people. So the things that we can do to eliminate that or to lessen that, I'm all about doing. But I want to remind people out there that are driving our roads to obey the traffic laws and do it with conscience and do it with purpose. And that way everyone will remain safe. And with that, I have nothing else to add other than have a very happy Thanksgiving, because we have a lot of things to be thankful about. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.